Good morning. My name is Dixie Wicker, and I'm a member of the El Paso County Master Gardener Association, and I'm here today with Robin Scofield and Harriet Perry, who are also a member of El Paso County Master Gardener, and we're here at Ascarate Demonstration and Teaching Garden, and they're going to do a tour and tell you about all the wonderful things that we have in this garden. This garden was started about 9 years ago, and it's maintained by the El Paso County Master Gardeners, and it's open Monday through Thursday from 7 until 11, mostly year-round. All right, enjoy the tour. Thank you.
The first thing I want to show you is right at the entrance to the garden. We have this vine with the beautiful flowers on it and what looks like a giant cucumber, which is actually a loofah. This is what they look like when they dry. They turn brown. They have 1 million seeds inside, and we peel them, and you can use them in your bath to exfoliate your skin. One of the best things about this vine is that it brings visitors from the parking lot who are coming to the county tax office. They oftentimes come in and ask us what they are, so it's a real attention getter. This next section here, we have started with 3 pomegranate trees that were rescued from another Master Gardener site. They're doing really well, and this year we planted new pear tree, a quince, let's see, another fig. So we've got a little orchard here at the front, and then our raised beds for our vegetables. This year we have 4 different kinds of tomatoes, and they were actually propagated in our very own greenhouse. So we do use raised beds. The variety of chilies here came from the New Mexico State University Chili Institute this year. I'm not sure what all they are. I don't think anybody here knows what everything is, but some of them are fiery hot. We have various vegetables in raised beds. One of the reasons that we use raised beds is so that we can show people who visit us what they can do at home. Raised beds are really more friendly to a home gardener because you can more easily amend the soil. You can plant a lot of vegetables in a very compact space, and it's easier to tend to. You can go around the periphery and take care of the vegetables and the plants that are growing. So they've been quite successful. We have okra growing, cucumbers. One of the things about raised beds, some plants, for example, we planted our cucumbers next to the loofahs this year in the ground. We had a huge harvest because they're just too big and sprawling to comfortably grow in a raised bed. So there are pros and cons, but it's a whole lot easier to keep the soil amended in a raised bed. Of course, we have a drip irrigation system, so each plant gets its water, and we schedule that according to the weather. As we move along, we have a number of different beds. Okay, we're right here in the middle of our raised vegetable beds, and you can see that these materials are cinder block and rebar with some dirt in the middle of the cinder blocks, so very inexpensive to build. You can make them as high. You could add another layer to make them higher. You could make them bigger, so it really can customize them, and it makes it easier to reach the vegetables. You're not bending all the way down to weed and to do all the things you do to take care of a plant and keep it cleaned up during the growing season. So moving on, I'm going to hand over the mic to Robin so she can show you the next section of the garden that's relatively new.
Thank you, Harriet. Now we're going to look at the keyhole gardens and the accessible garden. All right, this is one of our keyhole gardens. This is a design from Africa, actually, and it's got a composting bin in the center of it. The wire for the basket on the composting bin goes all the way down to the bottom, so that the soil in the keyhole garden is always refreshed. Our master gardener friend Beverly Clark got the idea for these and designed them. She got a grant to make them, because you can see they do take a lot of these flagstones. And the way they're arranged, the sun that hits the taller plants at this end, and it still hits the smaller plants over here. So they're very wisely arranged, and we never have to refresh the soil. And now we'll go on to our accessible gardening area. All right, here we are in our accessible garden. Here we have had some squash planted, and it's such that you can sit and garden here, or you can roll right up to it in a wheelchair. Over here we have another area where you can sit and garden, and this is at such a height that it is very comfortable for sitting. And since it was an accessible gardening area, we planted dwarf tomatoes here, because we can't see people sitting and then having to get up and reach for the tomatoes. So we thought dwarf tomatoes were good there. And over here we actually have a bed where you can pull into it in a wheelchair. You can actually pull into this garden bed in your wheelchair and be gardening. And due to the fact that this is rather a shady bed in our garden, we planted radishes and beets. All right, now we're in the herb garden. We have a traditional Mexican herb planted here called epazote. We have chocolate mint over here for fun and tasting. Let's see, what else have we got? Yerba buena, as they say in Spanish, or spearmint in English. We have a rue plant with a bunch of caterpillars on it. And if the caterpillars destroy the rue plant, that's okay, because we can always plant more rue. The caterpillars are going to turn into, some of them are going to turn into desert swallowtail butterflies. And then some of them we don't know quite what they are. They're dark looking caterpillars. We don't know. Let's see, what else about the herbs? We have Mexican oregano, our ever-living Mexican oregano plant. We have Greek oregano, parsley, garlic chives, rosemary, sage. What else have we got here? We had some fennel, basil, of course. We have plenty of basil in our herb garden, and thyme. And let's see, what else have we got in the herb garden? I think that's about it. Here we are at the pollinator canoe. Here at the garden we had a canoe, and it had a hole in it. So we filled it up with soil, and we planted it with flowers, because if you plant the flowers, the pollinators will come. And here we have zinnia, cosmos, Peruvian pavonia. Oh yeah, we have a bunch of volunteers down here of zinnia and marigolds. We let the volunteers go usually. And we had a volunteer sunflower, so we let that go. And speaking of sunflowers, we have also for our pollinators and birds a sunflower forest. Okay, and now Harriet will talk to you about some other parts of our garden.
I wanted to show you a pergola that was built in 2018. So here's our pergola, designed and built by our master gardeners, a couple of them being engineers. It's designed to be an educational component. We can use this for groups of school children that come in to the garden to learn how to do things. We can, as a matter of fact, last year our master gardener classes were held online because of COVID. And so at the very end, when things got a little better, we had the interns come in to the pergola and have a hands-on propagation class, which was the first time many of them had met face-to-face. A nice gathering place. We've used it as a staging area for our boxes of vegetables that we sold by subscription this past year, so just a nice gathering place. At some point when we build our children's garden on the other end here, this will be the entrance to the children's garden, which I think will be lovely, with hummingbird feeders and honeysuckle, and just a nice way to enter the rest of the garden. Here you see our melon patch. It's in great production mode right now. We have 4 different kinds of melons, 2 kinds of watermelons, and they are delicious. They are really good. We also have over here a very new feature, which is native and adapted plants for the area so that people can see what they can grow easily here that does well in our very hot climate. We have Mexican sunflowers, we have Salvia gregia that the hummingbirds love just as much as the nectar and the feeders. Of course, you can see the lantana, the sage, some turpentine bushes, a firecracker plant. It's just beautiful. And underneath all that foliage is a carpet of purple verbena, which is so pretty. So a nice new feature in our garden. So next, I'm going to let Robin show you the rest of the garden. Some wonderful features here.
Thank you, Harriet. Now we're going to go to the greenhouse. Here we are in our Master Gardener greenhouse. Our Master Gardeners, who were former engineers, built the greenhouse, basically. And we did it all on a very limited budget, but it's a great little greenhouse. And we already have fall vegetables starting. Mainly those of the brassica family. We have our broccoli, cauliflower, kohlrabi. We also have Swiss chard, and the greenhouse also has some propagation projects like bougainvillea and pothos, and what else have we got? We've got some zinnias growing over here, and yes, these are our fall veggies already. Here we are at the newest feature of our garden, a fountain. The fountain will be the centerpiece for the new children's garden. We have a bench. The fountain is solar powered. The sunlight hits this solar panel, powers a battery, which powers the pump. We have water lilies growing already, and we have planned on getting a turtle. But there's some problems with getting turtles to stick around. We imagine that this focal point of the garden will be a place for serenity and meditation. We find the garden a very serene place, and we hope that this just helps to enhance that. So I've been working out here at the Ascarate Garden as chair of the garden for about 5 years, coming out twice a week in all kinds of weather, because we garden year-round. One time I remember we just came out here and watched the garden fill up with snow, and then we went home. But it's a very peaceful, tranquil place, except there's also a lot of work to do. So if you like gardening, please come out and visit us. Again, it's Monday through Thursday, 7 a.m. to 11. And here's Harriet.
I'll tell you, I have spent a lot of time following Robin around for the 3 years since I got my certification in 2018, just trying to get my feet on the ground. I've learned an awful lot, and I've made some good friends out here. It's a wonderful place to be, and we'd love to see you join us. Thanks.
Thank you.